Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karuna Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranashchakshushrotramatho Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahmopanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Ma Brahma Nirakarot Anirakaranamastu Anirakaranam me astu Tadatmani Nirateya Upanishadsu Dharmaha Te Mai Santu Te Mai Santu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. So, if you still have your video off, kindly turn it on so I can see you. We are going to start today with Bhagavan's grace, Gurudev's blessings, Chandogya Upanishad. Last time we all studied together Panchadashi Chapter 2. And the entire Chapter 2 of Panchadashi focused on one thing, and that was Sat. And the mantra that it focused on was Sadeva Somya Idam Agra Asid Ekam Eva Advitiyam. All this was nothing but existence, that one non-dual homogeneous existence. And that mantra comes from Chandogya Upanishad. So we will kind of see now where that mantra comes from. And if you haven't studied Panchadashi Chapter 2, don't worry about it. That just goes into a lot of detail. In this Upanishad, you will also get a clear idea of what it is we are speaking about. So just so we're all on the same page, this is the Chapter 6 that we're studying. The book we're using is by Chinmaya Mission. The commentary is by Swamini Vimlananda ji. So now, when we look at our literature, when we look at our sanatana dharma, the crux of sanatana dharma is our Upanishad. So if we want to take the entire Hinduism, the entire sanatana dharma, and all the spiritual practice, all the different paths, all the things that people follow, what is the essence or what is the crux of everything? What is everything trying to come to? Everything is trying to come to the Upanishads. The Upanishads they're also known as Vedanta. So when we say Chinmaya Mission teaches Vedanta, they're also known as Vedanta. Why? Because they're the anta, means they're the inner essence or the conclusive teaching of the Vedas. So if we take the entire Vedas, the essential teaching, that is called Vedanta. The conclusive teaching, that is called Vedanta. So Vedanta is Upanishad. Upanishad is also known as Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya means the knowledge of the self. And when we dissect this word, Upanishad, it comes in 3 syllables. Upanishad. We also reviewed this in Upanishad, but I'll just refresh our memory since we've done that a long time ago. Upa means samipe, near. The idea of any Upanishad is that it has to be studied at a close proximity to a teacher. It cannot be studied on one's own. We cannot Google it or just read it or just try to make sense of it on our own, because we won't be able to grasp it. The Upanishads are written in such a way, they were revealed in such a way that sometimes they can be very puzzling. There's so many puzzling statements. And when we read it, we're like, okay, what does this mean? And we get so confused and we misinterpret. So instead of going through all that, our Rishi said, Upa. The first thing is Upa. Upa means sit with a teacher. Sit with a teacher who has studied the Upanishads, who is practicing the knowledge of the Upanishads. Here we are sitting with the great Rishi Uddālaka. We are all sitting with Rishi Uddālaka. So, Upa. Then Ni means Nishchaya. So the idea is the student who is sitting is not just sitting for a casual thing. This is not like we put on a TV show and then we sit there and we just watch. Or we turn off our video and we're cooking and we're cleaning and we're doing all kinds of things. This is not that kind of thing. Upanishad is definitely not that kind of thing, because the student of the Upanishad is very different. Nishchaya means determination, that the student has determined that I've tried to look for so many solutions for my challenges in the world outside. And no matter how much I looked, I couldn't find it. So now I have a firm determination that I'm ready to look within. I'm ready. And I might not know what this Brahman is that they talk about, or this truth, or this Atman. I might not know what it is. I might not be clear about it, but I'm ready to find out. I'm ready to listen, and I am empty. This is called Nishchaya. And Shad, which becomes Sad. Shad is three things: Visharana, Gati, Avasadana. Visharana means that the Upanishad is capable of destroying ignorance. So if the student is so firm and so fit, then the Upanishad can destroy ignorance just like that. Just like that. Or Gati. Gati means the Upanishad can help a seeker in attaining the self, in attaining the attained self. Praptasya prapti means we don't have to go somewhere or do something to attain Brahman. Brahman is already within us. We just have to turn within. So the Upanishad can help us do this. Gati. And Avasadana. What if I am not that ideal student and I am, my mind is still not sharp enough, not pure enough? Then Avasadana means Upanishads can help loosen our bondage. It can actually, make us more interested to go with it and less without. So in this way, Shad has three meanings. The Upanishads can actually remove or destroy ignorance. It can help us attain the attained self. And it can also loosen bondage for us. For whom? For that student who is sitting near the teacher with firm determination. And this is called Upanishad. It's literally knowledge of the self that gives all of these results. And in Sanatana Dharma, there are 10 major Upanishads. Isha, Kena, Kata, Prashna, Mundaka, Mandukya, Taittiriya, Aitareya, Chandogya, and Brihadaranyaka. These are called 10 major Upanishads because Adi Shankaracharya ji, the great proponent of Advaita Vedanta, has written commentaries on them. And also Veda Vyas ji, who we know as Sutrakara, the one who has written the Brahma Sutras, he has taken up these Upanishads in the Brahma Sutras. So therefore, there are 10 of them. We have studied before Kena Upanishad, from the Sāma Veda. And all the Upanishads belong to a certain volume of the Veda. Chandogya Upanishad also belongs to Sāma Veda. So it's from the same Sāma Veda. And the name Chandogya comes from the word chandas. Chandas means meter, or it can even mean mantra. And Chandogaha is the one who sings this Vedic mantra, because the Sāma Veda is sung. Chandogya means belonging to the ones who sing these Vedic mantras. Hence the word Chandogya. So this Chandogya Upanishad, it's in the Sāma Veda, and there's a mahāvākya in the Upanishad. All the Upanishads have a mahāvākya, all of them. And here the mahāvākya, or the great statement in this Upanishad, is Tat Tvam Asi, that thou art. That thou art. Tat Tvam Asi. So where this mantra comes from is this Upanishad. And it comes not one time, but 9 times. 9 times, because the student, we will see the student Shwetaketu, he keeps saying, I don't get it, repeat it again and again. And so his gracious father repeats it again and again and again. Now this Chandogya Upanishad has 8 chapters. It's a very thick Upanishad. I can show you this is the one with the commentary that I have. It's a very thick one. Brihadaranyaka is the biggest one. This is the second biggest one. And in the first 5 chapters, what is taken up is upasana. Upasana again means upa, near, asana, sitting near. Sitting near what? Sitting near a symbol, sitting near a support, to tune ourselves with the divine. So the idea is that before the student comes to the Upanishad, their minds are somewhat single-pointed. Before their minds come to the jnana portion, I should say, the knowledge portion of the Upanishad, the minds are somewhat single-pointed. So the first 5 chapters, techniques of upasana or contemplation are prescribed. Various means and methodologies of contemplation are prescribed to make the mind subtle, to make the mind single-pointed, to make the mind ready. And then when it comes to the 6th chapter, then knowledge is given. So the 6th chapter focuses on Sat, or existence. The 7th chapter focuses on Ananda, or infinitude, bliss. And the 8th chapter focuses on Chit, or consciousness. These are 3 natures. They're all the same, but looked at from different angles. So Sat, Ananda, and then Chit. Now one might say, but I haven't done any upasana practice or contemplative practice. Now, am I eligible for this Upanishad? So the idea is, wherever we are, if we're listening, that's completely fine, because this also gives us a certain kind of purity. This listening to the Upanishad, it gives us a certain purity, and hopefully this will make us want to take up spiritual practices to better ourselves. Okay, so now we have the entire background of the Upanishad, and the Upanishad has 16, so we're in the 6th chapter. It has 16 sections. 16 sections. And in these sections, there are mantras, right? So chapter is called Adhyaya, the 6th Adhyaya chapter, 16 khandas, and then we have the mantras. Before we get into the Upanishad, the idea is to first have the shanti mantra, or first contemplate upon the shanti mantra, because no teaching begins just like that. Every single Upanishad, every single spiritual or Vedantic text begins with a Shanti mantra or a invocation, a Mangalacharana, every one of them. And the idea of this is to tune our minds into the teaching, to seek the grace and blessings of the entire Guru Parampara, because we're about to embark in something so deep. This is not a casual thing. So on the first page of your, or in the, maybe not the first page, but in your book, there's the section called Invocation. That's where we are now. And what I'm going to do is I will chant it twice. The first time I chant, I will chant on my own. The second time, you repeat with me in your homes. Okay? Om Apyayantu Mamangani. Om Apyayantu Mamangani. Vak Pranashchakshushrotramatho balamindriyani cha sarvani. Vak Pranashchakshushrotramatho balamindriyani cha sarvani. Sarvam Brahmopanishadam. Sarvam Brahmopanishadam. Maham Brahma Nirakuryam. Maham Brahma Nirakuryam. Ma Brahma Nirakarot. Ma Brahma Nirakarot. Anirakaranamastu anirakaranam me astu. Anirakaranamastu anirakaranam me astu. Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaha. Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaha. Te mai santo, te mai santo. Te mai santo, te mai santo. So you get the flow of it. So as you repeated it, I hope you marked the breaks. So now what we will do is we'll just chant it together and you'll mark the breaks, where we're stopping. Okay, because we will do this chant before every class. Om Apyayantu Mamangani. Vak Pranashchakshushrotramatho balamindriyani cha sarvani. Sarvam Brahmopanishadam. Maham Brahma Nirakuryam. Ma Brahma Nirakarot. Anirakaranamastu anirakaranam me astu. Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaha. Te mai santo, te mai santo. Om shanti shanti shanti. Okay, so it's a very, very beautiful prayer. And we will now break this down. Om. Now everything starts with Om. Om is the phone number of God. Whenever we want to call God, whenever we want to call Bhagavan, we say Om. And Om literally means that eternal truth. That eternal truth. That eternal truth in waking, dream, deep sleep. That which is different from the gross, subtle, causal body, beyond the 5 sheets. That's Satchit Ananda, that Om, which expresses as Īśvara, what we call the God, the Lord of this universe. We pray, Apyayantu. Apyayantu means, may these be well nourished. What should be well nourished? Mama, my angani. Anga means limbs, angani. May my limbs be well nourished. What else? Vak. May my speech be well nourished. Pranaha. May my pranas be well nourished. Chakshuhu. May my eyes be well nourished. Shrotram. My ears, my hearing be well nourished. Athabalam. My spiritual strength, stamina, may it be nourished. Indriyani cha sarvani. All my organs, may they be well nourished. I'll just give you the word meaning and then we'll expound. Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam. Upanishadam. Sarvam. All of this is Brahma. Brahma, Brahman of the Upanishads. Upanishadam. All of this entire world is Brahma of the Upanishads. Ma aham Brahma nirakuryam. Aham. May I Ma nirakuryam. May I not deny Brahman. May I not deny Brahman. Ma Brahma nirakarot. And may Brahman not deny me. Ma here means the first ma is may it not. The second ma is me. Ma. So may Brahman not deny me. Anirakaranam astu. Anirakaranam me astu. Let there not be any denial, or either me denying Brahman or Brahman denying me. Let there not be any denial, no denial whatsoever. Tadatmani nirateya Upanishad dharmaha. Ye dharma, all of the dharmas, all of the virtues that are talked about in the Upanishads, in me, te mai santu, may they live, may they delight in me, may they repose in me. So the essence of this mantra is, may my limbs, speech, prana, eye, ear, strength of all my senses grow vigorous. All is the Brahman of Upanishads. May I never deny Brahman. May Brahman never spurn me. May there be no denial of Brahman. May there be no spurning by the Brahman. Let all the virtues recited by the Upanishads repose in me, delighting in the Atman. May they in me repose. Now first, let's see, what are we asking? For any study, anything actually in life to be successful, first we need our body, right? The body is the first tool. Anyone who has a weak body cannot pursue this truth. So first we pray that may all of our limbs be okay. May they be nourished. May they be healthy. May they be fit. May I be in such a way that I can sit and I don't get cramps or I don't get aches in my body. May I be in such a way that I'm not troubled by any hunger or thirst or pain in my body. May my entire body be fit. May I not feel so cold that I can't concentrate or so hot that I can't understand anything. So first is just let this body be nourished. Let this body be fit. Because the idea is the student really wants this knowledge. Vak. May my speech be nourished. May I speak only what's required. And if it's not required, may I not speak at all. Because we don't have to keep speaking all the time. And words are so incredibly powerful. They can make relationships. They can also break relationships. They can break economies. They can destabilize countries. But they can also spread a lot of love and peace. So may my words be nourished that I know how to use them. And I know what to speak, when to speak, how to speak. Bless me with this. Prana. May all of my vital airs, my pranas, be relaxed. So let me not be stressed or worried, or let not my heart not be racing, or thinking of so many other things. Let me be completely relaxed, at ease. My digestion, my excretion, all of these pranas, my circulation, let that be at peace. Let my eyes just focus on that which is auspicious. I was sharing yesterday with the Devi group that one of the youth told me, he said, New York City has so much stimulus that when he first moved here, he didn't know what to do because there's so many things just coming at him. And I told him that you just have to know what to look at and what not to look at. Just whatever you don't need, take it out. And he said, but it takes time to figure it out, So may my eyes just be focused on that which is auspicious. This is the idea of why we keep certain pictures in our homes, why we have certain paintings. It's because these create subtle impressions in our mind. And when we keep looking at something, it inevitably goes in. So may my eyes just see what is auspicious. And the same, may my ears also be nourished by just auspicious things. Whatever is required to hear, I hear. Whatever is not required to hear, let me not hear. Let me not be a part of it. Let me keep all of this intact so I can actually turn inward. Because if the sense organs are not controlled, not mastered, then we will not be able to settle in the Upanishad. We won't be able to sit still with the Upanishad. So let all of these sense organs be nourished, be in auspiciousness. May my spiritual strength be there. If something is wrong, goes wrong, something with my sense organs, something with my mind, something went wrong today, I had a tough day. It was very, very difficult for me. Despite all of this, may my spiritual strength pull me through. Because will can be so powerful. So even if everything's going wrong, bless me at least that my spiritual strength will see me through. And I will take this up, no matter what. So my balam is strong. And indriyani cha sarvani means all of our sense organs, even the mind, let that only be nourished with auspiciousness. So the first prayer is this. First part of the prayer is this. Let everything just be nourished in auspiciousness so that I can be ready to listen, to learn, to reflect, to contemplate. What am I going to contemplate on? What am I going to reflect on? Sarvam Brahmopanishadam. The entire world is nothing but Brahman. This is the central teaching of Chandogya Upanishad Chapter 6. The entire world is nothing but Brahman. Everything is actually Brahman in essence. So let me always remember this. Think about this. Recently, I had gone to Mumbai and I had met Swami Tejomayanandaji, Guruji. He said, do you have any question? I said, yes, I have a question. How does one become more rooted in the fact that the world is an illusion? And I asked him this question. He said, you don't have to be rooted in the fact that the world is an illusion, because if you do that, you're giving reality to the world. So be rooted that Brahman alone is. Be rooted in that Brahman alone is. Because if we look at the rope and we see a snake, we think there's a snake, and therefore we want to say the snake is false. First of all, there is no snake. So why are you going to say the snake is false? There is no snake. Huh? There's just Brahman. Brahman appears as all of this. It's only Brahman and Brahman alone. So Sarvam Brahman Eva. Everything is Brahman alone. There's nothing else. So this is what I have to be rooted in. Brahma Satya. That's it. There's no even question of Jagat Mithya. When one is rooted in Brahman is all there is. There's no question of the world is an illusion. Sarvam Brahmopanishadam. Now, in this process of trying to realize this truth, Maham Brahma Nirakurya, may I never deny Brahman. You know, Brahman is beyond the ken of senses. It's beyond the mind itself. Because if you all remember in Upanishad, Shrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manuyata. It's the ear of the ear. It's the mind of the mind. It's the eye of the eye. It's that consciousness which enlivens everything. And so sometimes because we cannot see it and we cannot think of it, we feel like there's no such thing as Brahman. Brahman doesn't exist. Because there's a group of people who only believe in what they see. If I see it, it's there. If I can think of it, it's there. But this Brahman that you're talking about, I can't see it. I can't experience it. I can't think of it. I don't know anyone else who's actually seen it. So how can it be real? So these kinds of questions might come to our mind. But the idea is, may I not deny it? May I hold on until I, for myself, realize I am Brahman. Brahman is not a concept. Brahman is being. Being, it's who I really am. So may I not deny that. May I not deny it because I cannot see it or think about it. And at the same time, may Brahman not deny me. Here, Mama Brahmanira Karot means that Īśvara, may that grace of God not, may I not be denied. May I not be denied of the grace of God. May I not be denied of that cosmic universal intelligence. So may I not be denied by the teacher. May I not be denied by the teaching. May I not be denied by the environment or the circumstances. May God's grace always be with me. The idea is Bhagavan, or God's grace, is always with us. But we're not in tune with it. It's not that we have to wait and wait and wait and wait for grace to dawn. Grace is everywhere. Grace is there all the time. But the denial of grace is our inability to tune into the grace. It's our inability. Adi Shankaracharya ji gives this example of fire. God is like fire. Fire, and everyone's sitting around fire. Some people are sitting so close to fire that they can feel the heat. And some people are sitting so far away that they can't feel anything. Now, can we blame fire? No. So fire is there, but it is us who's sitting close to fire or who's deciding to sit away from fire. In the same way, the denial of God's grace is not actually the denial of God's grace. It's our inability to tune in, to sit close to it. And that's why we're not feeling it. So may I stay tuned to this grace. Anirakaranamastu, anirakaranam me astu. May there be non-denial. May I not deny Brahman, and may that grace, may it not be denied to me. So both ways. I shouldn't be denying Brahman. I shouldn't be just disregarding Brahman. And at the same time, I shouldn't be so oblivious to the grace that's already there. And while I'm studying this, and even while I'm living my life, all of those virtues that are said in the Upanishads, mainly what we call the sadhana chatushtaya. Sadhana chatushtaya, the fourfold qualities of the seeker. Viveka, discernment between the permanent and impermanent. Vairagya, dispassion. Then the sixfold qualities, shama, mastery of mind. Dhamma, mastery of senses. Uparama, mastery of activity, or the ability to withdraw from activity. Titiksha, endurance. Shraddha, faith. Samadhanam, single pointedness. And mumukshutta, that burning desire for liberation. So these qualities that are stated in the Upanishads, may they dwell in me. May they start to manifest in me. May they start to shine in me so that I can truly walk this path. Because remember, this path, who is the student of Upanishad? This is not a man or a woman or any gender. It is not any particular religion, any particular race. It is not any of that. The student of Vedanta is a pure and single-pointed mind. Whoever has that can sit down and absorb Vedanta. So may I have that. This is the qualification. It's not for any particular being. It's a mind and intellect equipment that is tailored. May I have this so I can dwell in this knowledge. Om Shanti. The first Shanti is peace. May we have peace from the Adidevic forces. Adidevic means all of the unseen forces like earthquakes or storms or just something that could happen around us, which we have no control over at all. The second Shanti is for what we see. May we have peace amidst our surroundings. May we not have too much loud music in our house, or ambulances running here and there, or all of a sudden a phone call disturbance, we forgot to turn our phone off. May we have peace from all of the seen disturbances. And adhyatmic, may we have peace within. Because finally, if everything is at peace, but within we're so disturbed, we cannot study. So Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace from the forces, unseen forces, seen forces, and within. And with that, we begin the study of the Upanishad. So just, it's such a beautiful, beautiful mantra. So keep this in mind, and whenever we feel like we're doing something wrong or we're straying from the path, chant Maham Brahmanira Kuryam. May I not deny Brahman. Okay, remember just even that line, Maham Brahmanira Kuryam. Should not deny Brahman. Should not. Okay. Now, how does this Upanishad begin? Now, this Upanishad begins with a story. It's a very nice story. A lot of Upanishads are like this. They're dialogues, between the teacher and student in some kind of setting and background. And through the story, or what we call Akhyayika, the teaching is given so that it's easy for us to comprehend. Because the idea is these things are so subtle that we need some kind of setting in order to actually imbibe and understand them. So we begin with the first mantra, the first section. Om Shwetaketu, Om Shwetaketu, Ha'aruneyaha, Ha'aruneyaha, Asa, Asa, Tampito Vacha, Tam pito vacha Shwetaketu Shwetaketu Vasabrahmacharyam Vasabrahmacharyam Navai Somya Navai Somya Asmat Kulinaha Asmat Kulinaha Ananuchya Ananuchya Brahmabandhuriva bhavatiti Brahmabandhuriva bhavatiti. So the first mantra starts with Shwetaketu. The name of the student is Shwetaketu. Shweta means white. And Ketu means like ray of light. So Shwetaketu. And Shwetaketu is also called Aruneya. Aruneya. Because he's the grandson of Aruna. So he's also called Aruneya. And the word ha just shows that it's past. So once upon a time, there was this young boy. His name was Shwetaketu. Or his name also is Aruneya. And he was there. Tam pita uvacha. To this Shwetaketu, his father spoke. What did his father say? His father's name is Uddālaka Ṛṣi. So earlier I had said we are sitting near a teacher. Our teacher is Uddālaka Ṛṣi, Shwetaketu's father. Shwetaketu means, oh Shwetaketu, Vasa Brahmacharyam. You should go and live in a gurukula. You should practice brahmacharya. And he says, Nave Somya. Somya is his nickname for Shwetaketu, means O pleasant-faced one. Asmat Kulinaha. In our family, there's no one that is ananuchya. There's no one who has not studied. And if you do this, Brahma Bandhur Iva Bhavatiti, you will only be like a namesake Brahmana. So the translation is this. Once upon a time, there was one Shwetaketu, the grandson of Aruna. His father said to him, O Shwetaketu, live the life of a brahmachari. Dear boy, there is never anyone in our family who doesn't study and is only a namesake Brahmana. So Shwetaketu, at this point, he was 12 years old. He was 12 years old and he was in his father's home. And at that time, people, young boys and girls used to go to gurukula. At the age of around 6, they would get their Upanayana. Upanayana means that sacred thread. And upon getting that, that was the initiation to Vedic study. They would go to gurukula. Gurukula means a place like an ashram setting where they would stay with the teacher. They would stay with the teacher and live and study. The idea is that in this study, they would learn a lot of discipline because it would be very strict. You have to wake up at a certain time. You have to do certain chores around the gurukula. You have to serve the guru. And then there's all the teachings that happen. And so with this discipline, one grows in the gurukula and one spends about 12 years in the gurukula. So he said, Vasa Brahmacharya. Shwetaketu, you better get out of the house now. Go to gurukula, live in the gurukula and learn from a teacher. Some might ask, why didn't his father teach him? You know what happens, right? When our parents tell us something, we don't listen. But when somebody else outside tells us the same thing, we listen in a second, in a heartbeat, right? It's always like that. We don't listen to people at home, but people outside of home, very easy to listen to. And he said, in our family, there's never been anyone who hasn't studied. So many, our entire parampara, all the men and women in our family are studying. There's never been anyone who hasn't studied. And if you do this, then you will just be like a namesake Brahmana. Brahmana here means that person or that family who has a mental temperament to think. Those were thinkers, right? It's not anything to do with their birth or whatever. It is their mental temperament. Their mental temperament is like they're thinkers, they're scholars. Like in a family of doctors, imagine if you're in a family of doctors and your child is just sitting there at home at 12 years old, not doing anything. They're, oh my gosh, what are you doing? How can you belong to this family, right? Or in a family of teachers, you say, what are you doing? How can you belong to this family? So he says, you're only a namesake thinker. You're a namesake Brahmana. You cannot be like this. You have to go. And so Shwetaketu said, okay, father, I will go. I will go. So what happened? Saha द्वादशवर्षः उपेत्य चतुर्विंशतिवर्षः सर्वान् वेदान् अधीत्य महामनाः अनुचानमानि स्तब्ध एयाय तम्पितो वाच श्वेतकेतो यन्नु सौम्येदं महामनाः अनुचानमानि स्तब्धः अस्य उततम् आदेशम् अप्राक्ष्यः. So Shwetaketu sa द्वादशवर्षः उपेत्य, he went, so he was 12 years old and he went for 12 years. So having gone to the gurukula for 12 years, chaturvimshati varshaha. So now he's 24 years old. He was 12 years old. He went to the gurukula for 12 years and now he's 24 years old. And what happened to the Shwetaketu? Sarvan Vedan Aditya. He studied the entire Vedas. So when one goes to Gurukula, one learns like 14 spheres. There are 14 spheres of the Veda. So it's not only, one learns science and math and literature. I mean, there is archery, there's astrology, there's language, there's phonetics, there's arts, there's music. A whole comprehensive knowledge is taught in Gurukula. So it's an incredible amount of knowledge. What we have today in our schools is just a fraction of what was taught in Gurukula. You can just imagine a child who's come out of that, how much of the world they know. It's all beautiful knowledge. And so he studied all of the Vedas. Sarvan Vedan Aditya. So what happened to Shwetaketu? Mahamanaha. Oh, he became so proud. Mahamanaha means this person who thinks that there's nobody like me. I am the greatest person in the world. There's nobody like me. I have studied all of these things, so I know what I'm talking about. This is who I am. Anuchanamani. Anuchanamani means he considered himself to be such a great scholar, such a great speaker. He could speak on different shastras, different scriptures. And what he's forgetting is that it doesn't matter if someone is a good speaker. What's important is someone is a good seeker. More than prachar or speaking is achar. Are we really living it? So he felt like he felt like he was the boss, like he was the greatest person. Hence stabda. Stabda means he was so proud that he didn't do namaskar to his parents. He didn't prostrate to his parents. He didn't bow down to them. His chin was like held up high. Completely just held up high like that. And just by the way he walked, it felt like, who is this person? Is this Shwetaketu? Is this person the one that I sent to study? When parents send their children to study in college and they're away, parents have that expectation that my child will now learn how to deal with life because my child has been away for so long. That now they know how to live independently, how to be disciplined, how to manage time, how to deal with various relationships that they have. They have these kinds of expectations. And if the child comes back completely just unchanged, the parent is shocked. What happened? I spent so much money on your education and nothing happened, right? So, of course, here there is no money spent because Gurukula was free. But when, Uddālaka Ṛṣi saw this, he said, what happened here? Just from the way Śvetaketu conducted himself, he said, there's something wrong. There's absolutely something wrong here. Tampito vacha. So this Uddālaka Ṛṣi told his son, Shwetaketu, oh Shwetaketu, you you are a pleasant-faced one. You are Somya. But you think yourself to be Mahamanaha. You think yourself to be so great. Anuchanamani, such a great speaker. And Stabda, so incredibly proud. This, when you went there, did you ask apraksha? Did you ask tam adesham? Did you ask that teaching there? You went to Gurukula for 12 years. Did you ask that essential teaching? Did something happen there? And this made Shwetaketu think for a while. It made him think. And, he then asks, what is that teaching? And Uddālaka Ṛṣi gives a very, very beautiful response. But before we go there, first let us look at how great Uddālaka Ṛṣi was. Usually also sometimes when the child comes home after college, after such a long time, there's a graduation party, or there's a celebration, or there's all of these things. But with Uddālaka Ṛṣi, he knew exactly what was there in his son, and he wasn't there to boost his son's ego, but he was out there to break his son's ego. And that was such a beautiful thing. That's how an ideal parent handles a child. When they see that a child is so proud, so, thinking of themselves to be so high, the parent goes and just shatters their ego. And this is what Uddālaka Ṛṣi did. This is so much in contrast with how Hanumanji spoke to Sri Rama and Lakshmana. I had mentioned that just by the way that the person carries themselves, we know how they are, right? Because if you can imagine Śvetaketu all his head was high and walking like this and thinking like he knows everything. When Hanumanji met Sri Rama and Lakshmana in Kishkinda, when they were looking for Sita Devi, and Hanumanji spoke to them in such a beautiful manner, asking them who they were, where were they from, what brings them here. When he spoke, Sri Rama said, this is a person who knows all of the Vedas. This is a person who has studied all of the Vedas. Just by the way he was, just his posture, just by the way he spoke. And so that's the idea. that Uddālaka Ṛṣi saw Śvetaketu just by the way he was. He knew that his knowledge was not full, was not complete. He knew there was a lot more work to do with Śvetaketu. Now, what is that which Uddālaka Ṛṣi asks Shwetaketu? What is that beautiful question? That we are going to see next week. Okay? Because if I start that question, we won't be able to finish. But we will see that next week. I'll just take a few moments to revise, and then those who have questions can, stay back, and we'll also have a short meditation after. So today we've started Chandogya Upanishad. This Chandogya Upanishad Chapter 6 is the chapter of Tat Tvam Asi, where Tat Tvam Asi is mentioned 9 times. And how this Upanishad starts is it starts with a shanti mantra, or an invocation, reminding us to invoke that divine grace, because nothing is possible without grace. We're all running a race here and there, but very often we forget that we don't have to run. We just have to tune into that grace. And the prayer was for all of our senses to be nourished, for our mind to be nourished, so that we can contemplate and reflect on the fact that everything is Brahman alone. And may we not deny that Brahman. May Brahman not deny us. And may all these virtues that are there in the Upanishads repose, live, and dwell in us. And how the Upanishad then starts is with a young boy named Shwetaketu, who was instructed by his father to go to gurukula. And he goes, but he comes back so proud, so obnoxious, that it feels like he hasn't even learned anything at all. There's a beautiful saying in Sanskrit. It's called Vidya Dadati Vinayam. Knowledge brings humility. Knowledge is something that breaks the ego. If there is something that boosts the ego, that's not called knowledge. It's just called information. Information boosts the ego. We can get more and more and more information, and our ego can be boosted, and we can have many, many, many more degrees. But knowledge is very different. All right. So I will say the closing prayer here. Then we can have a little bit of discussion, question, answer, and then a short meditation after. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.